And if you want to know what happens when you put 60 gigahertz in a building, you can look up the mystery illness at Nichols Junior High in Arlington, Texas from 3 years ago. And you could see what happens when 60 gigahertz is installed in a public place. And you can see the symptoms. These are the same symptoms that are happening with this alleged COVID, whatever it's called.
The teachers at an Arlington junior high say their building is making them sick. 60 teachers have complained since September. Now the district has suddenly removed its principal.
It is a story News 8 investigator Charlotte Huffman has been digging on for months now. Charlotte?
Well, the removal of the principal is just the latest development in the ongoing crisis at Nichols Junior High. I've talked to more than a dozen different teachers over the last several months. Each one of them told me two things. They only feel sick when they're inside the school, and their principal was the only person they could count on to stand up to the district. Now, the principal is out, and teachers fear they could lose their jobs. That's why the teachers you're about to hear from wanted us to hide their identities.
Every time I go to the school, I get sick. It starts with a headache, and then you get dizzy and lightheaded.
It's a bizarre feeling, and nobody knows what's causing it.
You just feel like almost like you've been to the dentist and they've given you a bunch of laughing gas.
It started more than 130 days ago in September when the principal and another staff member nearly passed out in the main office. They were rushed to the hospital. The school was evacuated. The air was deemed safe. And soon, kids returned to class. But those mysterious illnesses continue.
The really scary thing is that every time it gets worse.
What may be more frightening, we discovered many parents are completely in the dark. I've heard that teachers have been holding classes outside. That's news to you?
Yes.
Really?
What?
Because they're too scared to be in the building and too scared to put their students in the building.
It's my first time hearing that. That's frustrating. It's like they're trying to keep something from us. We need to know because it's our kids.
She said, Mama, I don't know what's going on in this school, but it's making my head hurt. I don't feel good. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And I'm like, well, Brianna, just go and lay down. You know, I didn't really think anything of it.
Until Brittany Lang went to the school herself.
And I started to get dizzy. My head started to hurt. Nose started to burn. Words was, you know, jittery, hands jittery. And it immediately made me angry.
Because you realized maybe what your daughter had been complaining of was real.
Yes, it was real.
Nichols Junior High is located in North Arlington. The building is 23 years old and situated in a predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhood. It's a Title I school, meaning the majority of the students, 76%, come from low-income families.
These is our kids. These is our future. That's not just because we're a Title I school that y'all don't care about us. Let's get down to the bottom of this because it's serious. Teachers are quitting.
Teachers say it wasn't until 6 weeks after the first incident that the district held a meeting to address their concerns. We weren't invited, but obtained this recording in which teachers can be heard begging district officials to take them seriously and inform parents.
I'm begging you, whatever option there is out there, please do it. I just feel like they have a right to know.
Only then did administrators send this letter home to parents. It says, in part, a few staff members have reported feeling ill, but the air is safe and reports do not indicate any unusual number of absences or clinic visits. Teachers say that's simply not true.
It is affecting our students. I have seen students can't catch their breath, have severe headaches.
We're not trying to hide the situation.
Communications Director Leslie Johnston says the district has sent a total of 3 letters home over the past 4 months.
The letters have shared that some staff members have been reporting symptoms.
That some staff members have, but not as many as 60, right?
We haven't shared a specific number. We're being very careful with HIPAA restrictions and privacy restrictions, not to share their personal health information.
Just to be clear, letting parents in on the number of teachers affected would not violate any privacy laws, but there's a lot that parents don't know. Doctors have diagnosed some teachers with an inhalation exposure injury and advised them not to return to school. Is there a concern about maybe creating mass hysteria unnecessarily by notifying parents of what's really going on?
So we're certainly wanting to keep people informed, but try not to create a panic at the same time. So that is a balance.
Johnston says the district has taken every step to try to solve the mystery.
There's a really large fan in there, you can see.
Kelly Horn is leading that charge. He's executive director of maintenance and agreed to give us a tour. What would you guess it is?
Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know that I could guess at this point. We've looked at so many different things.
From carbon dioxide to sewer gas and mold, the list goes on. The district has spent nearly $28,000 and counting on outside contractors who've been brought in to inspect the HVAC, study air quality, and conduct mold tests.
We continue to search for it, but we've not found anything that we can point to definitively.
Something's going on at the school.
Dr. Elisa Rich is a professor at UNT's School of Public Health. She's a member of the World Health Organization's Chemical Risk Assessment Network, a group of 38 scientists that develop guidelines to reduce the risks of chemical exposures. Teachers contacted Dr. Rich for help. She says she tried, but was escorted out of a district meeting with staff last December.
I was informed that it was a closed meeting, which struck me a little odd.
So we gathered test results and other records obtained during our investigation and put them in front of her for her expert opinion.
That's an inhalation of some type of gas to me. The question is, where's the gas coming from? The question is, what type of gas is it?
What caused it? Carbon dioxide.
Until the district can pinpoint the cause of the illnesses, some teachers say they just want out.
Please just relocate everyone. I know logistically it might be a nightmare, but it's people's health is involved. It's nothing to mess around with.
Well, the district tells me there are no plans to relocate right now. And you can rewatch the story, see extended interviews, and all the documents that we gathered during our investigation by going to the WFAA app on your cell phone and clicking on the Mystery Illness tile. Charlotte Huffman, Channel 8 News.
What's going on right now, ladies and gentlemen, is they are retooling all of the electromagnetic weaponry in all public places. I'm going to repeat this, folks. And in the name of Jesus Christ, I ask for protection over myself and my family and all of us who are involved in this information war. They have closed the cruise ships. They have closed the schools. They have closed the high schools. They've closed the colleges. They've closed the universities. They've closed the churches. They're closing casinos. They're closing hotels. They've closed government buildings. And they're forcing you all to stay inside because they are reinstalling the microwave and millimeter wave electromagnetic weaponry right now as you're focused on toilet paper and watching people walking around with masks on the screens. Those white vans are going into all these buildings and changing out the chips and making sure that the new Wi-Fi systems have the weaponized frequencies in them. That's right, folks. They're going to go to 6 gigahertz, which is the absorption spectrum of iodine, and 60 gigahertz, which is the absorption spectrum of oxygen. They are retooling the electromagnetic weaponry that is installed everywhere, all over the world right now. All right? There is no coronavirus, folks. This is a psychological warfare hoax to get you locked down so they can lock down all the public places and put the weaponry in. All right? That's what they're doing. Everything is off limits because what they're doing right now is they're either upgrading what's in there or testing what's in there remotely. All of these access points and these Wi-Fi systems all over the world are made by a handful of companies, and the specifications for these products in their product guides are only as good as the paper it's written on. And the truth about these electromagnetic weapons is they're not telling us what they're capable of, nor are they revealing to us that they have backdoors that can be controlled remotely. And ladies and gentlemen, these devices that are in the buildings right now, or the ones that are being upgraded right now as you're locked in your homes, are going to have the weaponized frequencies in them. There is no coronavirus, folks. There is no virus that's killing all these people, all right? What you have are typical flu-like, pneumonia-like, or these are typical deaths. These are typical death rates, folks. They are going all over the place with this propaganda. They have locked down the entire world so they can get in there with nobody looking to upgrade their weaponry, ladies and gentlemen. And in those places that the weaponry is already installed, they're testing it. At some point in the future, they are going to go live with a full-on millimeter wave pushing catastrophe that's going to result in all kinds of people getting sick and dying from electromagnetic exposure from 60 gigahertz oxygen molecule frequency transmissions coming from the weaponry in the cruise ships, in the homes, in the airplanes, in the schools, in the libraries, in the government buildings, in the churches. They're putting this everywhere that has Wi-Fi right now. And all those places that don't, when we're done with this on April 6th, they're going to all have a weaponized electromagnetic frequency transmission system that will be capable of being remote controlled by those in control. So at some point in the future, they will be able to induce a massive die-off or pandemic. They're going to show symptoms of respiratory distress or neuroinvasive paralytic disease. They'll either bring back some electromagnetically induced polio type disease or some electromagnetically induced thing like the Spanish flu where people are going to drop like flies, and they're going to blame it on a fake virus that doesn't exist, and they're going to have the vaccines ready, and they're going to make you take those vaccines, and they're going to make you go away and possibly be interned, and they're going to make you disappear if you're labeled as a carrier. We have a short window of time to expose what they're up to, folks. What is going on right now is nothing more than a psyop and a cover for them to get all their weaponry installed and get everything closed down so they can get their guys in there and remote control and test everything to make sure it's working right. Millimeter waves transmitting from the new Wi-Fi systems will be at 60 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz and 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. But here's the deal, folks. They're going after the iodine molecules in the air, and they're going after the oxygen in the air with this new electromagnetic weaponry. I need you to understand that these systems are not in operation right now, and the illness is not there. No one's getting sick from millimeter waves right now because no one's getting blasted with them. When they roll this stuff out, after this hoax is over and you've all had they've closed the schools, but the cafeterias are open. They're bringing in all the cruise ships. They're grounding all the airplanes. This is a technology upgrade for the entire world. And if you don't think it's possible, think about this for just a minute. The small handful of people that are controlling the world have shown their hand right now because they have managed to lock the whole world down.
New at 10, Green Country parents at a loss for words, concern for their child's life. An alarming number of Dewey High School girls paralyzed after having seizures, and no one knows why.
2RXG reporter Travis Guillory spoke to parents who have more questions than answers.
That's right. Parents are trying to figure out what's going on, but they aren't getting the answers they need. Dewey Public Schools Superintendent Vince Vincent released information today about the incidents, but one dad says it leaves more questions than answers.
I'm letting my daughter go every day, and it's like rolling the dice. She may wake up the next morning and not be able to move her legs. She may be at school and have seizures. She may not be able to speak right.
James Cutler's daughter is terrified to walk through the doors of Dewey High School.
She said, I'm not sure if I can use the facilities, if I can drink water there, what I can touch, what I can't touch. And that's when it hit me. I'd have no answer for my daughter.
The superintendent tried to provide those answers Friday in a press release. He said the Department of Health conducted water and mold tests, but neither found anything suspicious. Although the superintendent did say a number of students were diagnosed with conversion disorder.
And if that's the case, we need to be educated more on that. And if it's not, then we need to look other directions too, in case it isn't this.
Conversion disorder is described as a mental condition in which a person feels paralyzed or has other nerve system symptoms that can't be explained by medical evaluation. But with up to 20 girls having seizures and similar symptoms, parents are still puzzled.
We've got a little bit of something to go with, but now we've got more questions.
With no medical explanation or common denominator, Cutler says he isn't sure where to turn, but knows someone has to find a solution.
This is why I'm wanting help for the community, for our girls.
The Department of Health tells Two Works For You the agency is no longer investigating because nothing came up in the mold and water tests. The superintendent said Dewey Public Schools is now working with the Department of Environmental Quality. In the studio, Travis Guillory, Two Works For You.
The reason they want your children back in school is so they can use beamforming weaponized 60 gigahertz millimeter wave weaponized radio frequency emissions aimed at their faces to make them lose their breath and succumb to an illness that will mimic a respiratory ailment that they will blame on the coming COVID-20 that they're going to roll out. Gates wants your children in the classrooms. K through 12 children are going to go to school in the fall. Why? Why are they not talking about this, folks? Gates wants your children back in the school in the fall. Harvard wants your children back in the school. They don't want you homeschooling. They want children in the classrooms. Why? Why? Why do they want your children in the classrooms? So they can use the weaponry on your children.
First at 5 o'clock, some parents in Dewey are concerned for their children's health after several students had seizures and trouble walking and talking.
News on 6's Amy Slanchik is live on this story with what the school and parents are saying tonight. Amy?
Terry and Lori, I've spoken with several parents today, and one tells me their child has had seizures for months. Other parents say symptoms have just started showing up in the last few days.
Lexi, are you okay?
Tara Madden says she hasn't had a normal conversation with her daughter Alexis since Wednesday.
Lexi.
She says Alexis is barely able to get her words out. She shared video with us of her daughter's symptoms: trouble talking and walking.
She can't walk. She walks like a toddler, learning how to walk for the first time.
Tara says a doctor told her Alexis has what's called conversion disorder, and the Dewey 9th grader isn't alone. Superintendent Vince Vincent says several students have been diagnosed with the same thing, a psychological disorder with symptoms in response to stress and anxiety.
It's scary. I don't know what to do.
In a letter to parents, Vincent explains the school has no information that would lead it to believe the school buildings are unsafe or that they're dealing with anything contagious. He also says the school had water and mold tests completed and found no health concerns. As for Tara and her daughter,
I'm waiting on a neurologist to call me back so they can run some tests on her.
She's hoping to see improvements in her health very soon.
I seriously think there's something wrong with her.
The state health department says this is not an infectious issue and that it is not investigating the situation. To read the letter from the Dewey superintendent in its entirety, just visit our News on 6 app. Reporting live on the scene on the story in Dewey, Amy Slanchik, News on 6.